bad music does in fact end, and it does in fact end without. It's a cold ending, as they call it. It just stops. So I don't know if we will ever get it right, but we tried. Boogie with the Bull Saturday morning. We selected Saturday morning because we could do it. Randy Rhodes is with us. Phil Marshall is with us. And I'm Dave Glovin. We are live on my profile on Facebook. If you don't see it there, if you go to my profile and you don't see it there, it could be that Facebook is not sending it to you. And if that is in fact what is happening, we will take care of it. We're working on it. Is there today, but we're working on trying to figure out a way around that. Either we'll have to send it to a page or a group, or just put the YouTube link up. But anyway, I don't want to go into those details. We'll go into what is more important. So, Randy Rhodes, what is more important this morning?
What is more important? Family.
Family.
Yeah. And not just because Thanksgiving's around the corner, but because family is extremely important. I do genealogy, and when you see what families went through to get here, to start a whole new life, and everything they went through to get to us here today, it's just a testimony to how strong the families were and are today. Because I mean, if I came over here as a child, right? My dad said, you know what? We're gonna pack up the family. We're gonna move to this place called the New World. There's flowing with milk and honey and all kinds of stuff. We're gonna make a life for us. And we get there, and the first thing that happens is you kiss the ground because you made it safe after 6 months of being in the ocean. But you get there, right? And the first thing you have is like bows and arrows flying the frick at you, because it wasn't, a land where nobody else was living. There's other people there, and people are dropping left and right, and you're running for help now. And then your dad dies, and I'm the oldest male child. Like, it all falls on me. Well, if it was me, I just crawl up into a corner and cry myself to sleep. I don't think I have the stamina to do what those folks did when they first got here. I don't.
What do you think, Philip?
Well, I believe that in my family, we go back to great-great-grandparents that arrived here. I remember one, and would not English, but he wouldn't speak it. He stuck to his French language. My family that I remember, until my uncles and my dad's generation, that greatest generation, until the War II came along, there wasn't very much of any kind of wealth there. And I'm not saying that we were wealthy. They just wasn't. They just might have been the land of milk and honey, but they came from Ireland and Portugal.
Yep.
Can't imagine 6 months on a boat, though. Can you imagine that? We do a 6-hour plane flight, and we're like, get me off this thing.
And not mention 3 hours waiting.
And I'll bet you there's a whole lot more economy class on an airplane than it was on a boat.
Not to mention 3 hours waiting in line to get, past security and so forth. But, the worst thing of it is,
we lost Philip. He'll be back.
The worst thing is that, when you consider yourself, you're paying whatever the fee is to get your own, a place on the ship, and you're paying extra for, however size your family is. But damn well, and I don't have evidence to corroborate it, but damn well that the crew members of those ships weren't the best of the best of the best. And those poor women and young ladies, maybe young boys, had to go through sexual abuse the whole time they're on there, to get to the New World. And it's a shame, but there's no way of stopping that kind of action when you have like 200, 300 immigrants to a ship, and you have a crew of maybe up to 100. And what are you going to do? You can't fight back. Or toss your butt over the side. You just got to deal with it. But and it's amazing still today. They're still finding bits and pieces of artifacts from days gone by, primarily in the toilets because the toilets that was their garbage heap. They just throw everything into the toilet, into the outhouse. And after a period of time, all that stuff is in there. It just comes, turns into like a dirt. And I've actually had people go in there and they dig through that and they find, bottles of pottery or, the Sears catalog. That's what they use to wipe your butt sometimes. But you find things of value, that show how they lived. The one thing that I really love is that, they wrote journals about their experience, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times people buy these homes, and if you know what you're looking for, a lot of the homes here in Lancaster County have like a siding over it, like aluminum siding. And if you know what you bought when you bought it, you know that the siding is covering up the original structure of the house. And
Mhm.
a lot of folks pull that siding off to review the log cabin underneath it. And inside the walls of that log cabin, sometimes you'll find these little books and journals about the experience of their life. And thankfully, they have enough thoughtfulness to say, "Here, ancestry, I found this book. It's about this family. You can have it." And they take it and they scan it, and it's free to the whole world. It's just
Mhm.
today. And the reason why I bring up about the family and genealogy and folks back in the day is because we have folks today who cry and get all beside themselves because of the lifestyle that they have today. It's just not being handed to them. That they don't have that nice car, that nice house, that high paying job, and folks don't realize what they have is a hell of a lot better than what people in other countries have, and I was just saying on my one broadcast the other day, I think that the government should make a mandatory 2-year draft, and they should take every snibbly wibbly liberal Democrat that hates this country so bad and hates our military. They get drafted, and they got to go through 2 years of mandatory military service. It's either going to break them or make them more appreciative of the life that we have, and which is a phenomenal life.
He's back.
Look at these other countries like Australia, Canada, England, Japan. They have, they're starting to realize that they're giving away their lifestyle, their country to a certain so we say minority, and they're starting to lose their uniqueness as being an Australian or an English person. And you see them walking down the streets with their Trump, flags and American flag, and they're shouting Trump, shouting USA, because they know that we, as long as we keep the Second Amendment, I don't think we'll ever lose sight of our independence and our freedom to speak.
I agree with that.
I don't see how we lose the Second Amendment. I understand that we can lose it, but if you look at the Second Amendment for what it is, and Phil can probably tell us this, it doesn't go away. The people that wrote the Constitution made sure it doesn't go away. And you can own whatever gun you want to own. If you want to replace your musket with an AK-47, it doesn't say you can't own an AK-47.
You just can't own an automatic.
Well, but they wrote that law because someone decided that you didn't want to own an automatic. Who had that right to write that law? That's where I come from. if the citizens of the U.S. decide they want to own AK-47s, they're going to own AK-47s. If because the illegal immigrants of this country complain to this country that the citizens own AK-47s, and the citizens or the government decides that the citizens can't own them, they're not deciding that the illegals can't own them. They're just deciding that the citizens can't own them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, you can tell pretty quickly when you see some of these blue-haired people and they complain about America. They've never been out of America.
Mm-hmm.
If they have, maybe they've been to Cozumel on a vacation. Maybe, although I don't think many of them ever had a job that had enough extra capital that they could take that kind of vacation. Maybe they went to Canada, but they've never been they've never been to Europe. They've never been to Africa. They've never been to a country where many of the things that we just completely take for granted here are just, they're either a luxury or they're non-existent. I've got a good friend in London who was telling me just a couple of weeks ago that Donald Trump is an absolute rock star over there. They have come to realize that these Muslims are killing their country.
Yeah. I don't know really what Charles actually thinks of him one way or the other, but I know that the people there love him. Just absolutely love him.
Yeah, I don't know why the English people, or maybe the royalties, allowed their government to get so much more control than the royalty, of the old age. The king. Obviously, there were some kings back in the day that were, less than desirable, but they were a very powerful nation. They were a very proud nation, and over the years, they allowed the government to water itself down, and there's less of the royalties involved with the run of the country than there was. And now you have Muslims running their mayor of London and so forth, and I'm scared for the people in New York City. I cannot begin to imagine what's going to happen there.
I don't think it's going to be that Zohan is going to think that he has the. That's interesting. I don't see Philip on the screen, but it says he's here. So let me do this again. And whoops. There he is. I don't think that Zohan is in for the ride that he thinks he's in there, because Governor Holcomb, who is of his same party, has basically said, we're not raising anything in New York. We're not raising taxes in New York. What you may want to do, you might get away with, but we're not raising taxes on people. We're not going to create a mass exodus out of New York, although Zohan has pretty much created that himself anyway. But go ahead, Phil.
You're up, Phil.
Can you hear me, Philip? No?
You were breaking up there for a bit. I don't know. I think I'm going to try something with my Wi-Fi this week. I think I'm going to go get a booster. I wonder if this isn't my Wi-Fi.
Where's
my connection to my Wi-Fi is not right here on my trailer. It's on the house. So
the boosters usually take care of that. They take care of a dead spot in your house and turn it into a live spot. So maybe that is what you need.
Where's your router located at?
Where is your router located?
My trailer's on the property.
But is the booster is the wireless modem somewhere else
where
other
the
than
line comes back from, and my router's in that corner. Now it's a big router, and I've never had a major problem. This is kind of a blip. I generally don't have a problem with any movies or anything like that, and I think it might be something transfer back and forth. I don't know. I'm just thinking that if a
It's a
problem
good
is happening to me and
possibility.
not everybody else.
It's a good possibility to check. 'Cause, yeah,
No,
that's
this
what I was
problem
going to
is
say. It doesn't
understand.
seem to be happening to anybody else. It just, and I'm not saying you're bad because it's
There we
happening
go
to you.
again.
I just hope we could get it figured out for you. But Randy, I think you're right that they're taking over, or they've taken over London, and how they're being able to take over London doesn't make any sense to me. And they're trying here in the United States, and they're not seeming to have much luck here in the United States. And
I mean, look at what happened in New York City. They're blaming the fact that he won on the fact that people weren't voting for Trump. They're voting for a mayor. And the people sat at home and thought, well, there's no way he's going to get elected. And I'm going to sit home and enjoy my life. Just like they did before with another election. You can't sit on your ass at a home expecting someone else's vote to carry you through. You have to get out there and at least make the attempt to vote. And so now for was it 2 or 4 years for a mayor? I'm not sure. But so now they got this guy. You watch when he takes over that home, that nice home he's going to be living in, and he starts getting a nice paycheck. His true colors are going to come out. He's going to start clamping down on the police force. He's going to start reducing the police force. She's going to have a mosque on every corner of that city, and the Christians are going to get eased out. Look at New York. I'm in New York, London. I saw a video of this soldier for Veterans Day. He was a World War II soldier. He's in his uniform, had all his ribbons, and he's being harassed by a police officer because he's out there speaking his mind. And he said, I went to war for you. I fought for you. My friends died for this. And here you are trying to tell me I can't say this?
We unfortunately do that in this country, because I have seen there's the old man who I wish I could find him and I could get him on, who makes mugs. And they are some of the most beautiful mugs that you will ever see. And you see him with relatives or friends doing videos of this old guy just making his mugs. And that's all he wants to do. He just wants to make his mugs and sell his mugs. And there's a story with each mug that I wish I could get him on to tell. But, we never did that the way we treat older people now, and we're all older people. Phil is in his early 70s, I know that, and Randy is in his mid to late 80s, and I'm in my 60s, not 80s, but I'm in my early 60s, and it's just.
Who's in his 80s?
I said 80s, but I meant 60s.
Jeez.
I was waiting to see how long you're going to pick up on that.
Right. I'm probably the one in my early 80s because of the way.
I'm 2 years away from 67.
Okay. You're 2 years away from 67, which means you're.
No, I'm sorry. 2 years away from 70.
So you're 68.
Yeah.
And Philip is 73. And that's easy to remember because another good friend of mine is 73. And I'm
74 now.
63.
Just one.
Okay, 74 now. The friend of mine that I'm talking about is it's about a week older than me. So it's easy to remember his birthday. But
so let's talk about drugs. My favorite topic.
No drugs. No drugs. I take enough.
Trump is trying to keep the fentanyl and all the other bad shit out of our country. Just killing. I think we said was 25,000 Americans a day die from drugs.
Yeah.
And Those on the left are getting upset because he takes out a ship, like a little speedboat with maybe 3 or 4 guys on it every so many days. They don't look at the fact that, that destroying that speedboat and killing some terrorists is saving American lives. And it's almost like those on the left still, for whatever reason, want us, the American citizens, to suffer, and they want the bad guy to always be the winner. I don't care. I cheer him on.
I said to someone the other day, if they would turn the bullet around and go back where they came from, I wouldn't, if I was the president, give the command to kill them. Just go home. Just don't bring it here. If you never left that foreign country with it, then you wouldn't be trafficking it. You wouldn't die. Because then,
like when the left says, "Oh, it was poor fishermen." Poor fishermen got 4 massive mercury outboards on it with like enough horsepower to probably push a destroyer across the ocean, and they're doing 40 knots. And there's only 3 guys and a whole bunch of plastic wrapped. I don't care. When they catch them, just put it on video. Make good video. That's real America needs to see that we're doing something real about this problem.
I mean, that's
if Venezuela wants to gather their army on the coast and make off that it would make a difference, let them do it and let them send videos. Take all the time they're taking up doing that just doesn't bother me at all. Because Venezuela would do anything they wanted. If we decided we wanted to go in there and do something, we could do that. So we're dangerous because we not to. People don't give Trump and our war ministers the credit for having the restraint not to do things that they are completely capable of doing.
I am sure if we put Trump in one day and said, we're not going to restrain you for the day, we're just going to let you do what we voted for you to do, all these problems like narco-terrorism would be done in a very short time. In a very short time, it would be done.
Kind of the Trump Hunger Games.
Well, yeah, but I've said it before, hold a different view than everybody else does on Snap. I understand that you could be illegal on Snap. You could be an illegal immigrant on Snap. Right now, it's going into the Thanksgiving and going into the December holidays. So if you're on it, you're on it. We're not going to save anything really by pulling you off of it. But come January 1st, we need to know of 2026, we need to know who's illegal on it, and you're done. You're done. Even if you get a job, you're done. Well, if you're an American citizen and you get a job or you go to school or you do community service, that may be your saving grace. But if you're an illegal immigrant, you're done. You're done. I mean, I'm just tired of hearing illegal immigrant this, illegal immigrant that. I paid for my phone. I don't get an iPhone for free. I don't get a house for free. I don't get a car for free. I don't get this for free, that for free. I don't get a commercial driver's license for free, but I shouldn't ever have a commercial driver's license.
Newsmax said yesterday that they were able to find out that 185,000 dead people collect EBT, and that close to 500,000 people get 2 EBTs. And if nothing else comes out of this, cleaning up the roll of people who collect EBT, it will allow more money to do better for other people. These people should not be collecting twice, and dead people should not be collecting because they're not eating anything.
Right. And if you get the understanding that I think what President Trump is trying to say is, like you just said, Randy, if you let me and you let the people go through this and weed out what shouldn't be there, exactly like you said, there is more money for you if you're entitled to that money. I don't see this as Trump is saying, no, we're going to eventually get every American off it and you starve and die. I mean, maybe he is saying that, but I don't think he is. What do you think, Phil?
Like we were talking the other day, these are supposed to be stopgap programs. You have people that are second and third generation in Section 8 housing, second and third generation on EBT. If nothing, the good thing, like Randy said, that will come from this crisis, so to speak, will be that now so many people are aware that we have 40 million people on. We don't have 42 million people in this country that need them.
Yeah.
So that awareness, if we were to cut that, unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the first one to speak.
You couldn't get a tax cut through Congress that would have the impact of cutting half the people off of EBT. Yeah. And I'm sure half of them that are there absolutely don't qualify. YouTube things where people are getting. I don't know if my family could eat $4,000 a month worth of food. It certainly would be a lot of lobster.
And I understand, and I'm even one of the Americans on SSDI going, it was never created to become your paycheck forever. It was created so that you got money while you weren't working. And then when you could work again, you went back to work. You know? And I have no problem, like I said, even if I had to work for it 15 hours a week, because, now things have changed and I have issues that I can't realistically work, a 40-hour or 60-hour a week job. But, maybe I could if I got paid to do this because, I spend enough time.
There's a mentality, Dave.
What is it?
Randy, you're 68.
Yeah.
I'm 74, and if you look at my little thing, it says New Owner Small Jobs LLC. Mm-hmm. I just started a new LLC this week. I got a couple of friends that can do some things. I got a son-in-law that's disabled, but there's some things he can do. I'm capable of putting this together on paper, taking a phone call, and getting them little jobs to do. So here we are. I don't need that. I don't need it. I am blessed and I am comfortable financially. If I didn't take anything in, including I would live fine.
Yeah.
But my mentality, the way I was brought up, is I want to be productive. I am so damn bored.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing something, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Brandon's very good at what he does. All roads lead to home genealogy services and all of the associated all roads lead to home. Randy is very good at what he does. And, I hate to hear him struggling. I hate to hear anybody struggling because you don't want to be a gazillionaire in this country. You can make yourself a gazillionaire, but it seems every time somebody starts it, they just keep throwing the roadblocks at him. But
okay, we were raised differently. My dad was in the Air Force 22 years, and I go back through the old pictures, the black and white pictures. My dad, he took thousands of pictures. That was his thing, taking pictures. He had the old real videos and so forth. And I don't ever remember ever having a Christmas where there weren't at least 15, 20 gifts, per person. And the Christmas tree is all decorated. The house is all decorated, and light bulbs, and Santa Claus is outside. I don't ever remember not having shoes or socks or warm clothes or food in my stomach. My dad made it work, and my mom, she was a homemaker, my dad brought the paycheck home, gave it to her, and she dealt with it, to pay the bills first and food and nicely. So where they got to where they were able to retire finally, they were able to enjoy life. They went on trips, went on vacations everywhere. They were able to enjoy life, but he worked his ass off to get it.
Yeah.
And I think the whole concept of working your ass off to get it is missing on a lot of people.
What do you think, Phil?
Oh, and the statement of worked his ass off to get it, and that's why he had something when he retired to go places and enjoy life. Because when you don't work for what you have no value of it. You waste it. You buy $9 Frappuccino things. You have a $1,500 telephone. You wasted the money on. I love me sometimes, and I have lots of friends I talk to, but I don't need no $1,500 telephone to gab with my friends. I don't need that. So I don't own it.
No.
When you work and you have that instilled in you, you have a goal. You want something. You save for it. You buy it, but you value what you have, and you the wealth that you accumulate.
But even if you want that $1,500 phone, this is not a $1,500 phone, but even if you want that $1,500 phone and you get out every day and you work and you just work, not even bust your ass, but just work, and then you make the money to buy the phone and you buy the phone, you feel so much greater about yourself because you got up every morning and you went and worked it.
Yeah.
I mean,
my dad, I love him to death. They're both my parents have gone now quite a few years, but my dad always had to have the best of the best, but he had the money to buy the best of the best.
Yeah.
He was one of the very first people when they first came out, the dual reel-to-reel VCR players, right?
Yep.
But he had two wallets. One wallet was full of credit cards. The other wallet was full of money. So he would go out to the store, and we're getting stuff, put in the grocery cart, and he goes to check out, and he takes his wallet and he flips it open, and all these credit cards come reeling out. So he said, "Which one do I use today? Oh, I'll use this one today."
My dad. One of my favorite memories of my dad, who's been passed away for 6 years, was, and I was probably, 8, 9, or 10. We went to a hardware store, and it was one of the big stores at the time. And he bought some screws, and it was something like, 25, 30 cents worth of screws. And he was gonna pull out a $20 bill and pay for the screws. Then he said, I'm not going to break this for 20 cents. He whipped out his Visa card, and then we talked about that on the way home, and it's like, I grew up just like my dad. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be able to do. Just get to a point where you could whip out that card and do it. And I hope everybody wins the $526 million tonight in your whatever lottery it is, Powerball or Mega Millions.
Powerball, because last night somebody picked up $980 million in Mega.
All right. Well, that person that picked up $980 million in that lottery, you can't play tonight because you don't deserve to win.
Yeah. I don't want to play that one. Why would I want to win $5 or $6 million, right?
But as we said the other day, I also don't understand the lottery because you win $526 million about $1 million tonight, and depending on where you are and all of the taxes that are involved, you might get half of it. Now, I could never spend half of it anyway in my lifetime. I'd probably gift a good portion of it away, and Donna and I would be comfortable, I'm sure, for the rest of our time here. But I just don't get it. Like I said, you win $526 million, and you're lucky if you get $213 million.
Oh, Dave, break my heart. Go ahead and give me that $200 million. It'll break my
Oh,
heart.
I'm sure you would very much. I would will so much of it away anyway. I mean, I'm assuming that I will go first because of my issues. So I would leave it to my wife and say, just do what needs to be done with it. Plus, like I said to you the other day, I would dress like Brando playing Don Corleone and have the office that every day they would open up the door and you could come in, and even if you didn't need anything, you could just convince me how much money you might want, and you'd probably get it. I mean, that would just be me. And then I'd realize that I was broke one day and wish I didn't do that.
I'd like to bring something back.
What would you bring back? You are frozen.
Frozen, yeah. You know, I think one thing that we should at least bring up in conversation before we have to jump off is
Walmart thing and trying to make Trump has ruined. And that's why I have 15 years old in my house. I had a toaster that lasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They don't make things the way they used to.
They don't, which is why I have a lot of stuff that I have, because it was better. It was better back then than it is today. Some things are better today. Some things are better back then, you know. I don't know why my Android tablets work forever, and they will probably work forever. My IBMs or my Microsofts give me no problem as long as I don't spill coffee on them. If I spill coffee on them, then they give me problems. But I think, and I don't want to jump on you, Philip, so I hope I don't, but I would like to bring back the show The Millionaire, where you anonymously got $1 million, but you couldn't say who you got it from, and you had a time limit on how you had to spend it. In the early days when I saw that, I'd just go buy a radio station and I'd spend it all. Now you can't do that because the radio station's like $100 million. And I don't think I'd want to own it anymore. But crazy things like that. And I always said, like I said to Phil, I wouldn't buy all of the cars or classic cars that I wanted because I would enjoy riding in them, but I wouldn't enjoy the fact that I can't drive them anymore. So I wouldn't buy them. I lucked out, and a friend of mine had a Mercedes-Benz sitting in his driveway that he wasn't using 18 hours a day. So I took it 18 hours a day and made us both a lot of money. But I remember saying to Donna, on what bills do we have that need to be paid, and her telling me and figuring out that it would take me, I don't know, 6-7 hours to make the money to be able to pay that bill. And then she'd call me like 20 hours later and ask me why I'm not home and say, well, I made the money to pay that bill, and then I just wanted to be sure I made the money to pay the next one. So I don't know. So if you see me driving, which would be very rare, if you see me driving,
get off the road.
Get off the road. But if you see me driving online, get off the road too. But you see me driving online, that's what you will see, because I enjoy driving, including the one time I drove off a cliff. That
So what do you guys think of the past and current and soon to become more of these congressional hearings where they are discussing the spaceships that they shoot down, the spaceships that get away, and the biologicals that they're finding, and all the stuff that they're having the congressional hearings of. So we know they're real. They're talking about it. Why do you think the government is only letting little bits and pieces of the information to get out, not just tell the whole world, we have them. We're going to do a Walt Disney tour of the spaceship. You can get inside and you can whatever, enjoy it. We know they're there. Congress is talking about them, so I just open up the whole bag of worms.
I don't know, but I think that they are concerned of mass not being able to deal with the situation. If they had said to us that, aliens have been coming here for 50 years, and yes, we knew about it, and this is what we have worked out with them, I don't think the general population as a whole is ready to hear stuff like that. And if I was the alien, I wouldn't want to be put on display anyway. Just leave me alone, coexist, because you can't tell what's an alien and what isn't. It's like that scene in one of the Men in Black movies where Tommy Lee Jones shows Will Smith that wall that has each individual alien that they're watching, and from time to time they kick a button and watch what one is up to. But realistically, I don't want to think that they do that or that there's a need to do that. And I guess I just don't want to know.
I think that the not knowing would be more of a scare to the general population for if when these ships finally decide, they will come and go to the general population and land their ship. We know they're there. The Congress talks about it. We have the videos. We have the military personnel who are allowed to talk about it, talked up to a point of what they're allowed to talk about. Like there's this one guy, he was on board a submarine, and he was on a Newsmax show. They're talking about it, and he said that they found this underwater city, and these spaceships are coming up and surfacing and flying off. So and the guy was asked, he said, well, why didn't you keep up with it? He said, we couldn't. He said, these things were flying, they're traveling over 200 miles an hour underwater. We couldn't keep up with it.
Yep.
I think if we, if we had, a 60 minutes broadcast of, about the spaceships and the aliens, prepare the people. I mean, hell, we got people going into movie theaters, watching these horror movies of these, slashers and murderers and all kinds of horrible stuff. If our American population can withstand that, an alien's not going to scare the shit out of them.
It's funny that you bring that up, but then, like I said, it's something that people just don't want to hear about. And what is it that you don't want to hear about? Because then you have the group of people that also will say the Capricorn 1 is real and that we never went to the moon. And they stopped Neil Armstrong at things that he's at and want to know the truth, because Buzz Aldrin was, walking around saying we never went there. It was all backlot photography. And we don't want to know that it was backlot photography. So I don't really know. I don't really know. I wish people would come and join the broadcasts and tell us that their view on it.
What do you think, Philip?
Philip is frozen, I think. I don't want to turn him off and have him come back on again. I just thought that maybe he would defrost and join back with us. So I was going to leave him there, but we may have to deal with the freezing and see if he comes back. Maybe it is like he said. Maybe it is the fact that he is out of reach of the booster, because you can put boosters up all over your house, and I've had experience where landlords, because we've always had landlords, but where landlords had put boosters up in their houses, and it's just as good as sitting next to the phone. And I'm sitting next to the wireless phone, so it's plenty of good room. But if I, even being, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet away from the booster, 10 or 15 feet away from the modem, if I had to put a booster up, we would put a booster up.
Am I back to you now?
You are back to us now. But I would highly recommend that, not that you just jump right into the booster. I would recommend that you call your cable company and ask them about a booster and tell them how far away you are. Maybe if you can give them feet.
Oh, they have the answer, and it's going to be more money. I would rather go buy my own thing. I don't even use their router. I own my own router. I'm not going to give them $12 a month more.
Okay.
Hey,
All
Phil.
right, but it may or may not be as bad as you think it is, because I know people that bought Yaggies, and Yaggies look like a coat hanger, and you can literally stick that thing up anywhere you want. I know a relative that did that, and their internet reception where they were is fantastic now, because they
part of the problem could also be because I'm not in a structure house. I have this fifth wheel, and that makes a difference too. It's not like a regular camper, because I don't know.
I don't know, because if you have an insulated portion, if that had insulation per se, you could put into that quote unquote crawl space, you could hide a Yagi in there, and it just generally works fantastically. The person you should talk to is, I'll get a hold of the person you should talk to, and I'll ask him if you can, or I'll just ask him the question, and then I'll get back to you with the answer that he gives me.
Okay.
While I'm here, a good friend of mine and Randy's that I wish was on watching right now.
The aliens about us.
I would have to tell you, but Randy's shaking his head no, which means that
No.
He's doing what
Phil's trying to talk, and you won't be quiet.
Okay.
So Phil, back to my one question I had. Thank you. Where is your modem at inside where you're at?
My modem is in the wooden house, and probably 3 yards away.
Oh, you just okay. That's the problem.
And
that's the problem.
Where it is, that's what I think. And I'll
too
just
far.
I haven't had a problem until doing this live broadcast.
Yeah,
and
this is the first bounce like that.
So Phil, here's what I experienced about 2 years ago. I had an all-in-one computer. It was like 5 years old. It was a very good computer, and I was doing live broadcasts. And then we went into the new year, and the computer took some updates, and Facebook did some updates. The next thing I know, I didn't have integrity doing my broadcast. I kept breaking up. I kept freezing and so forth. And I had Comcast come out here a dozen times. They couldn't find the problems. They replaced the modem. They replaced the cable. To find out that my computer was just too damn old, and when it took the updates, it had a problem. So I had to switch up to this beautiful tower. And I'm doing like 9 devices now with absolute no integrity issues. So, your problem is that your modem is too far from where you're broadcasting.
Right.
That's why I brought that up. That's what I think the problem is. Plus, I have this laptop, which is new to me. Prior to this, I had a wonderful big tower, and I had a very large.
And there he goes.
We're going to lose him again. But realistically, we're both talking about the same thing, Randy, in the sense that I think he's just too far away from the main modem that he's trying to work on, and we need.
Yeah, and I don't see it as a big problem. I just see it
as a nuisance.
This is the problem, and I'll go and I'll deal with it. I'll see how that works out.
Well, one of these days, we know someone will guess the big number and win the prize of the free coffee mug of how many times in a broadcast you've been able to jump off.
The good thing is if you buy your booster from Amazon or somewhere and it doesn't work out, you can always send it back and get your money back.
Right. Or odds are you might get someone that will help you fix it. I mean, I speak very highly of Comcast because they said to us that your monthly service would be $55 a month, and then they sent us a bill for $41 a month, and we called them and said, "You said $55 a month and sent us a bill for $41 a month," and the guy literally said, "Be happy," and I'm very happy. But
so I gotta jump off here and get to work. So what I have, just so Dave,
go ahead.
So when you send out your invitations, if everything goes according to plan, starting Tuesday of next week, I and 3 others are going to be doing a new panel broadcast Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. For right now, the working title of the program is called United Fire Eaters. It's going to be a broadcast about the South and only about the South. It's going to be the way the people in the South are being treated, their statues, their cemeteries. It's going to be about the flag. It's going to be about that senator who was trying to steal 30 counties from surrounding his West Virginia, where he's a senator, to try and make his area bigger, and so forth. So it's going to be all about the South. Matthew Holmes, he's a historian. He's an author of 6 books. He's one guy. The other guy is Benjamin Walker. He's an author. And the big thing is Mindy Hergert. She's a board member of the SIA, CSA2, and another outfit. So we're going to see what happens.
Good. I wish that California was in the South, because Governor Newsom evidently has been roped into an investigation looking to see if he was responsible for illegal immigrant registrations in California. And if you were in the South, you might be able to give me the answer.
Well, California almost joined the war for independence, but it never happened. But you'd be surprised, and as I do my shows and broadcasts and do my research for my clients and read these books that Matthew Holmes has written, it pisses me off to see, the war crimes that were done against General Sherman, his march to the through the South,
right,
where he destroyed everything. And there's no need for that in any war. I don't care what war it is. There's no need to kill your citizens, the civilians, to tear down churches and things like that. That's absolutely nothing to do with war. And
one of the, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
and that's why, with Trump, when he does his military actions, he is very targeted as to what he's taking out, and we have the technology to find your ass and take it out if we need to.
Right. Donna, I remember, was watching a video. This was a while ago, where they explained all of that in the sense that the white man, for lack of putting it better, had moved into where the Indian tribe was, and all but one Indian was left.
Yeah.
Because we brought in our technology and said, no, you're going to live this way. And I think he died of TB, the last one, and they let him die because he was the last one, I think. And we probably could have learned so much that guy would still be alive, and at 210 years old, he'd be on this panel.
It's just sad, and I understand it's always been this way where the stronger government, stronger country always wins out. But, to sit back and 150 odd years later, the people in the South are still being attacked for what they tried to do for themselves. I mean, that'd be like the Native Americans if they had the ability to continue to attack against the white face man because of what they did to their people. I mean, I think if you look at, we wiped out millions of people.
The funny thing to me is when the Indian tribes get together or do it themselves and take that piece of land that the government gave them, thinking it was worthless, it wouldn't do anything, and they make a casino that does $100 million a year, and they take care of the tribes. Then, unfortunately, the tribe big shots get greedy, and the rest of the people suffer.
Well, look at Israel. How they got they turned the deserts into wonderful green grass growing, water flowing, territory now. And I gotta get going.
All right, Randy.
Take care.
Take care. Come back anytime.
Yep.
You're welcome. Okay. That's Randy Rose. I'm going to bring Philip Marshall in if he stays here long enough to give his final thoughts.
I'm back again. We were talking a little bit there about aliens. What amazes me is if you could do interstellar travel, what the hell would interest you about Earth? If you can travel light years from where your planet is, what is so interesting here? Do they need water? Are they archaeologists? Are they studying the potential history of people? Because we certainly don't have any technology that would interest them. They can fly at light speed or something. There can't be anything interesting here. And I'm not questioning that some beings from someplace else are here. I think the thing that is more don't want us to know is that if there are beings here from another planet, they're from much closer than they've been telling us they can be. They're telling us that the closest place might be umpteen light years away. Is it really just a few million miles? Because we already have, Voyager 1 is out there 1 billion miles away already and still broadcasting back to us. So is there something that much closer? And does our lack of technology keep another being from overcoming us in a military way because we don't pose a threat to them?
Well, are they coming in a military way? I mean, we get told by our government they're coming in a military way, but are they?
Because everywhere we go in a military way. That's the human thing. Humans always travel in a military way.
If we stop telling people that they're traveling in a military way, and they're actually traveling in a humanitarian way of bringing us up to their levels, that maybe that electric Tesla could get 10 billion miles on a charge. Who knows? Maybe you only need to charge it once. Maybe
I wanted. I'm
Maybe we can get gas down to $2 a gallon, like everybody wants. But I don't know.
obviously
Anyway,
they don't need gas because you can't have enough gasoline to travel that many miles in space. So gas is not what their propulsion is.
okay, right.
But yeah, it just it they're either so close to us that frightens power people that for whatever reason, because people in power are always frightened of everything that's not them.
Yep. All right, Philip. Anything else you want to say?
All right, no, I got
Okay.
I go deal with some turkeys this afternoon.
Okay. You are always welcome back. And we'll count the
All
number
right,
of
be
turkeys.
blessed and God bless America.
All right. Thank you, Philip. Let me see. Let me do it this way. All right. Philip Morris. I was going to say Morris again. Philip Marshall, who is one of the admins of our groups, and Randy Rhodes, who is All Roads Lead to Home Genealogy, and 17 million other All Roads Lead to something on the Facebook side. I think on the YouTube side too. We'll confirm that the next time that we're here. And what I'm trying to do is work out the problem, like I said, of when a person can't connect to us or they bounce a lot of times. We just want to get it taken care of if we can, because I'm the kind of guy that just wants everybody here to give their version. I understand I still interrupt and cut people off, but I thought I had a handle on it for a while, and maybe it's part of my LBD where I am or where I'm going to, and I don't know, because some people tell me if you take this vitamin, if you add it to your pills, you'll be sane again before you know it. And I look at him and go, I'm 63 years old and I wouldn't know what normal was, and I probably wouldn't understand it. Michael Anthony wants to join the stream, so give me a moment to slip over here and bring Michael aboard.
Hey,
There he is.
what's up?
Everything is fine. Anything and everything is on the table if you want to go from there, or anything that you have specific is on the table, and that's fine. That's fine too.
Why don't you tell me what was the most exciting first part of the segment of the show for you? What was the vibration? What did you get out of all the conversations?
The interesting thing was actually you saying exactly what you said, and I'll highlight it on the screen. They were encampments for Indians from the lands that were stolen, given back. And
exactly. And that was the first example of everything of the government, this new world government that we had in the early part of the United States history, of what they do and what they do now into the future. It hasn't changed. They're just duplicating it in a different method known as freedom cities and 15-minute cities, etc. The diamond blue cities.
But could we have gotten things from the Indians that would have improved us? I mean, you hear of Indians who live to be older than 100, and maybe we're doing something wrong, or maybe 100, 120 is as long as we can go. But you hear of Indians who never drank, never smoked, never did drugs, or at least we think they never did drugs.
No, they had all that.
And they
discovered it. They had every bit of intelligence that we have in life, and they were finding things. And if you think about it, were they really the first here? I think they're a bloodline of the first that were here, a bloodline of the first that were here, but there were ones before them. We only acknowledge history to a back point of a certain point in date and time. But it goes way beyond that. There was things that there's artifacts and many other types of disclosure items that we're not allowed to know about, where there were others here traveling using rivers, oceans, and what the early comers called the grease roads, which were trading routes. And that's how establishments and learnings and beads. So if you compare beads to beads. Where did the beads come from? Well, they were doing them in England as a trademark, as money, and that's what the Indians were doing also. So in order to get whiskey and tobaccos and different things and learn about how to grow and share tech, like the big Thanksgiving, let's all sit down at the picnic table and let's share foods, ideas, and learn and teach each other how to grow crops. So, I mean, it's all there. It's just the blanket stopped at that point, but it goes way beyond in history of what was truly here in America.
So when the Indians arrived when we arrived on the Mayflower and we took Manhattan away and we gave them $24 worth of beads, were the $24 worth of beads a significant amount to them, or did we intentionally rip them off? I mean,
of course.
We understand, or we were told a lot, that the Indians planned to massacre us at the Thanksgiving dinner. And if that's true, why did we go?
Well, keep in mind, they will always blame the others for what they intend to do. That's the preliminary setup. I mean, Nancy Pelosi taught us all that.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi.
No, I mean,
for the right price, Nancy Pelosi will teach you anything.
Think about the spewing. She disclosed that to the whole world of how their agenda and narrative works. But remember, you have different types of scenarios of what the battle truly is. You have the part of humanity that's the Illuminati, and then you have the Black Africans and other ones that were populated into Harlem and only in certain areas. They were segregated and put together and forced into these areas. And they became their own black mafia in Washington. And then you have what's called the rich of the rich, and that's what we have now that is in play. And it's a game, and it's a fight for the freedom of America and for a betterment of America, and maybe the worst of America. It's up for everybody how to decide what they want to do, see, learn, think about, research, and come up with their own conclusions. I'm not pushing you in any direction. I'm just dividing it up so everybody has a little bit of spaghetti and meatballs for each plate, because that's exactly what it is. When you look down into that plate, you see that cluster shit that tastes so good of all that spaghetti and meatballs, but when you have to break it down, it's an enormous job.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the flack right now that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going through. And it's not because of her. I don't think in my mind it's because of her switching sides in any way. Okay, maybe somebody needs a booster shot of their Adderall and they should start doing it again. And you could take that wherever you want, but it's something that I know that's deep within the facts. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just making a statement. But listen, Dave, for one more second. Okay. Her constituents in Georgia have concerns that are beating her phone off the hook, saying, what about this? What about the promises not kept? What about? And all Marjorie's doing is doing her job as a representative, saying, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to be, my voice needs to get stronger. And because of it, she's losing endorsements from Trump and everything else. And again, I'll say it once again, get your booster of Adderall. Somebody needs to have it.
The only thing I'll say that might be against Trump, and I don't mean it to be, is that he got to the office of president and he learned what he can and can't do. Sort of like the Ronald Reagan defense, I call it, where Reagan was a well-established Hollywood actor who became governor and became president, and probably had to learn the same thing, what he's allowed to do and what he isn't allowed to do. Because as you have kind of hinted before, I think the president really doesn't have all the authority that we think he does. There's somebody or somebody's above him telling him, and I don't mean Congress, there's somebody above him telling him what he can and can't do. And
Congress is led by who? Mike Johnson. And when
Yep.
Congress brings appropriations and bills and so forth to the front man, he's the one that decides whether they even look at them
Right.
or get pushed off the table to the side. That's another thing that we're seeing in Washington right now.
Yeah.
That's why the Epstein files and all that shit's blowing up and everybody's mad at each other. But it's because he's pushing them aside, but for an agenda or for a person, for a personal favor, I don't know. None of us know. But what we will know is when a lot of this comes out, where it all head, when it comes to a head, what it all means.
I hope it does, only because I'm stuck with a point right now on the Epstein files. Supposedly, Barack Obama buried a lot of the information that he had in 2009. That's 16 years ago. If he had found something that proved Donald Trump did something he wasn't supposed to do. Hang on as I turn off my alarms. If they had all this stuff against Donald Trump 16 years ago, they would have gone after him. For now, it just seems like they're going after him now because they didn't get what they wanted in 2025, the $1.5 million or the $1.5 trillion to do with whatever they wanted. And everything they wanted to fix, they threw on him, figuring he couldn't figure out a way to get it fixed, and he did.
Well, they were extorting him for the money because they have information they're withholding on that could possibly damage him. So they were saying, give us the money, we can keep our mouth shut. You protect us.
But
Well, listen, you protect the guilty, and we'll be on your side. That's why right now all this ties together.
But the question comes back to the same place with me. Is he one of the guilty? Because if he's one of the guilty, you gotta wonder why they sat on this stuff for 16 years unless they were looking for the right opportunity to drop it down in front of us.
Okay,
And
let's look at it at this perspective, Dave. This might wake you up immensely right now.
I'm trying to wake up. I am. I really am.
I know. Do you remember the comment where Mike Johnson said that Trump was an FBI informant?
No.
You're not doing all the research. Do you? Okay, so that's part one of it.
Okay.
Who else said the same thing about Epstein? That he was also an informant.
Okay.
How do you have two informants and you put them at war against each other? This is all bullshit. Yeah. There is shit there, but most of it's already been blacked out.
Right.
Okay. Again, and when you have something like that going on, and nobody wants to release the files or totally release JFK or Bobby Kennedy and go on and go on and go on down the line and the attempted killings like with Reagan and everything else, that tells you that there are superpowers above the presidency, Congress, and Senate of this country. That's the bottom line. So you have 2-3 divisions of different people fighting out of war. You have people of cultures now that have gained enough power, strength, and in the United States through Hollywood, through music, and everything else. And I mean, let's face it. When you look at P. Diddy, he falls into the same narrative, especially when they say that he was an FBI informant. Now, how do you like that? He was holding a lot of these tapes. Now, how he was safeguarding him, where he got him from, or was he a party to the blackmailing system that goes on that they do use? You have to wonder about it. So you have a president, who turns out to be, he was only near this guy because he was an informant, but yet we have videos that show much different than that. Have they been CGI? No, because I've seen things old enough. Not to say that you could not have done this 25 years ago. You could have. But I've seen what I believe has been actual footage of what was being filmed when it was filmed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell a total difference, and there's a lot of people that are specializing in this are also agreeing with the fact, like the one where Trump's grabbing the crotch of Bill Clinton and laughing and having a picture taken doing it, where this picture in question has supposedly been examined by the best in the world that do videography and all this other stuff, saying, wow, there's something really weird going on here. And maybe he's just a little bit more, playing a part. Dave, think back 4 or 5 years ago when I said this could be the man that could deliver America to the evil. I mean, if he wanted to.
He did.
He used the political progress of power as they persecuted him to gain points. I mean, maybe you want to even question the fact that Butler, Pennsylvania, was it a setup? I mean, look, people are starting to look into all this stuff. Faces matching faces in Butler, faces matching faces with Charlie Kirk. I mean, it's almost
the Charlie Kirk thing. I don't understand, because there's people on one side that say no, that shot came from the front. There are people on the other side that say no, that shot came from the back, and they question whether or not the two people that were with him, even the one that evidently is his security guard, was his head of security.
Well, I like to look in that box.
I don't
like to look in his box.
I keep looking, and actually I'm looking like everybody else is, and you only see what they want you to know. And that's and I'm learning about AI. AI to me is getting useless down on my level, because a month ago I asked an AI for very detailed information, and then I asked last night because I deleted it by mistake, and the AI said, I never gave you that information. It was, and if you could find it, it's totally documented. And then this morning it acknowledged that it gave me that information, and it gave me the information again. So
yeah, I've had many conversations with AI technology and actually made it go back and think.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's pretty good when your mind's more brilliant than AI is. But AI, remember, it's a self-teaching. Okay. We learned that with COVID. Self-mutate. Get it? Self-mutate. They were giving us all the descriptions of everything on how it'll work, even within that vaccination. That's why we're seeing the later effects. Take this and put this together.
I'm starting to think it wasn't a vaccination. It was to do exactly.
It was never a vaccination.
It was to do exactly what Bill Gates wanted it to do.
And what the hell's he doing in our White House with Facebook, Zuckerberg? What was that all about? Why are we accepting money from him? What is a 5K1?
He got invited to some dinner that was there. I don't know enough about the dinner he was at. All I know is that he managed to impress Trump with the $600 billion that he claims to be putting into Facebook or into Meta in infrastructure that will make it better than it is. All I know is that if I was sitting next to him and I'm the owner of Truth Social and I could do that, but I'm not, I'd want to be a part of it. And it seems at times that President Trump is more impressed with the deal he can make than really what the deal is.
Exactly. It all comes down to the cash, the gold, the silver. And that's truly what it is. Or now the coin. We're never going to go digital. We're never going to do this. But yeah, we are going to. Part of removing the penny, I understand that it takes more to create it than it's worth. But the point is, as they eliminate all these things, they will have impacts. Because even if you remove pennies, never to be used on cash transactions again, somebody loses. Whether you round it up or you round it down. which means millions of dollars on a daily basis are now being lost on big corporations because those pennies add up into millions of dollars. Think about it. When you have 300 million people running around every day using, and let's say only 40% uses cash, it is still a cash transaction where they're not collecting the full amount of money. So does it come out of the tax side or does it come out of the profit side? It comes out of the profit side of big business and small business, because the tax man, big brother, always will have the handout first, and you don't want to violate the tax man.
It does and it doesn't, I guess, only because if you look at a sign that says $2.99.9 for a gallon of gasoline, you think it's less than $3 a gallon. But if you bought a gallon of gas for $2.99.9, you can't go in there and say, I want my 10th of a cent. And like you said, that 10th of a cent might amount to millions for you and all the gas that you buy in a lifetime. So I don't.
No, it'll never add that way up for us, but it will add up for the others, the ones in charge and whatnot. But again, they don't mind that when they know they're going to a different method. What this tells you is if you use your debit card, banking debit card, it will charge you the full penny. Only on cash transitions will it not. And while everybody's thinking, the world and the economy so much greater, it's only because it's a line of bullshit we're being fed. And I truly say that as to how I feel because of what I pay. And I wish he would go shopping with me, because I would show him what he is saying doesn't add up to what he is sharing to the public. And look, I'm not against them. I worked hard like everybody else did that does podcasts that were warriors on this side to help him get into office. But, again, it comes back to the fact, where are the promises for the littler people? The seniors, the disabled, the vets. I mean, not that things aren't getting done, but they're not being addressed enough. But then you get told waste, fraud, and abuse, $5,000 check. Then you have Donald now saying, hey, it's going to be $2,000, but it could come in tax deductions. It doesn't mean that it's right now. It's all going to be, a cashier's check to you.
But then, and they'll still decide that, someone like me through my income doesn't get it. But even though we file as a couple, maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe she won't get it for whatever reason they have. And it's always them. And I don't want to hear that we're going to get that we're going to get $2,000 checks. I want the damn check. Why? Because I'm a stupid American. If you tell me I got $2,000 coming, I've already got it spent.
Well, there are people that will do the same type of thing that you're talking about, as well as you doing it. And I can only say money in the bank is only money in the bank when it's there.
Well,
you can't spend something that is not there, because that'll just put you in a worse position. And, that's why, again, we have this other stupid scenario of 16-year car payments, 50-year mortgages. Now, the part about that is, I understand if people want to take a $200 basic mortgage deduction payment by extending it 20 years, are you really ahead of the game? The only way to stay ahead of that game is to look at it in 5 years and reschedule your mortgage at a lower rate. And then, and not only at a lower rate, but at a faster minimization schedule that ends maybe at the end of the next 10-year term, saying it would total to a 15-year mortgage. Then you're smart. So the smart people will figure out what he's saying, but there are people that are going to fall into this and just say, I buy my home, I'm doing it one time in my life, that's it, and I'll be there to 50 years, I'll save the money. But are you really saving the money? Not really.
No, because you'll probably be dead.
You're populating the bank's incomes. You're populating the bank's incomes. The ones that he's going after, that he really won't be, because they're going to switch over from cash to digital coin and everything else as well. They'll still be there. They will still exist, just like the Fed and everything else that we look at that we don't want to have and deal on. But remember why that is also going to happen the way it is. And this is why I think he was able to trump a deal on these little 25% here, 25% there, better mortgage rates and so forth for the economy, was because, in fact, you had a president that actually had to file bankruptcy and used all 72 banks through people, names, and other presidents to get him back in the game because he lost twice in the game. And now favors are owed back to the people that gave him the billions of dollars to rework and reorganize and re-strategize what Trump Towers started as.
But I think that it's just a grand game of bullshit, and I don't mean to insult you, but I love Donald Trump. I think he's a great guy, but I hate coming on to my broadcasts and going, he wants to do this, he wants to do that. He was so adamant that he was against any of these coins.
Bingo.
And then all of a sudden, bingo, he's got one.
Yeah.
And I have just a ceremonial gift coin that's been in my wallet for probably 5 years now, that I carry with me everywhere I go. I show it to people every once in a while, and I have 2 more because they oxidize and you got to change them around pretty soon. But I mean, I love the guy. I voted for him 3 times. I would vote for him the 4th time in 2028 if I could, because I don't think he'll be done in 2028. And I don't know if the people that he wants to usher in will be able to continue. But I mean, it's like I said, I don't want to come on and smack him every day and smack him every day and smack him every day, because then the reality comes that even if I got 15 minutes with him one day, he's not going to want to do it, because all I do is smack him because of this and smack him because of that, and then say I love him. So,
well, people are starting to smack him on our side with interviews live on television and on other podcasts. Look, it comes down to transparency and truth. Everything he said he stood for. So why can't we have these simple conversations? Why can't we break bread that way and get direct answers? Why do we have to have a runaround? Look, I'm on your side. I get what you're saying.
I know you are.
The point is, though, there were some disturbing things. And I'm not talking about the fouls. I'm talking about the promises, the things that were, talked about. Not the fact that, how he used to come out and the first thing he talked about was warp speed, and I took the vaccination and I got boosters. Well, I'm happy for you. I didn't. I never got sick. You did, and you had them. So, I mean, look, it all comes down to what are we supporting now? That's why I'm trying to tell you. Look up 5K.
I took the vaccine and the booster at the request of that relative, and I got it anyway. Yeah, well,
again,
that's what I don't understand.
It was your prerogative to make that decision.
The surgeon was supposed to take out some kind of tumor. It wasn't anything painful. It was just a bunch of protein that grew in the back of my leg, and they took that out. And then they were supposed to take the same kind of thing on the tip of my head that's been there for years. You can see it here.
Yeah, it can be like a little fatty tumor. It's probably nothing.
Well, that's what it is. It doesn't hurt you. At least they say it doesn't hurt you. But they were supposed to take it out, but the surgeon said, no, I can't do that kind of surgery on you because it's too much of a risk. It would have been outpatient, but he just said it was too risky.
I don't understand that at all. I know other people that had the same thing. They did was put they even did it once on TV years back where a young person had a formation of one, and they put a little slice and they went in with these little, and they
lanced it.
Yeah, and it was fun.
They numb it and they cut it right off. Yeah. You don't even feel it. And it probably doesn't grow back. But I mean, well, that brings up Big Pharma. That, why isn't Big Pharma giving you either the ointment that wipes it off your head or gives you the pill that makes it go away? And, I understand they don't do that because it's not profitable to sell you the one pill that makes cancer go away, even if it's a $50,000 pill, because they can make 2 billion or 2 million or 2 billion by rolling you along on whatever they got to do to make you think they're treating your stage 4 cancer, and then you die. Anyway.
Anyway, I get it. But I will say this to you. Try a charcoal paste. Put a little patch over your forehead. Put a charcoal paste under there. What it will do, it will basically bring it to a head to where you can be able to maybe get rid of some of the fluids or pus that might be in there. It's something that a lot of people deal with. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. But for like $2, listen, for like $2.95, $3.95, something like that, rounding it off to a nickel, not a penny. You could get this, put this on, and use that salve as it's a drawing salve. Yeah. Now, what it does, once it gets the skin to cooperate, then it can get into the shell that creates like a little, because normally these things come in with a little casing, and then inside are the proteins and the things that for some reason pick this spot to grow there. And then basically you just bring it out like you do like acne and pop and, keep doing it. Unless you see it not working, then stop doing it. It's worth $3.95.
No, they tell you that it works. Or that guy, I can't think of his name. I think his first name was Kevin, but not Kevin O'Leary, that had that big book that had all the natural cures that Big Pharma basically got to the point of hassling him so much and suing him so much that he finally just took it off TV, late night TV. But, all the stuff in that information, all the stuff in that book is true.
A lot of it,
like $75, you made the guy a gazillionaire, but you had the answers that you could look at and do. William Lockett is here, and I'd like to bring him in, but I wanted to ask you first because I don't know how much time you have left.
I figured I'd jump in for a minute, but do what you need.
Okay, hang on just a second. Let me send you a link, William. And, okay, I got to take care of that. Take care of that message. Okay. And that message is cleared. And then we will go over here. Live radio is so much fun. William. Okay, there it is. We'll hit that one. And we will send this. Control V. That comes up, and that's the link. That's the link, William. We'll tell him that, and we'll send that, and hopefully he will pop in, and then we'll go back to the main screen. There we are. William, you are welcome to join us if you wish. If you can, if you're watching, I don't know. Things get a lot better sometimes, or a lot more interesting, or anybody's welcome to stop by as long as everybody says everybody's welcome to stop by. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting the words out of my mouth, but anyway, you're right, Michael, and you're right about most of it, or if not all of it. That I'm starting to think that they're not telling us information that we need to know because they don't want us to know it, and who they are. Can be anybody. It can be even the president of the United States. And I don't want to know. I don't want to hear that it's the president of the United States because I'm sure he can take me aside and, hey, you just don't want to ask these questions and do these kinds of broadcasts and you'll be fine. But, I've been here on Facebook for 17 years. I've done this for 4 or 5. And, they play games with you on Facebook. You don't get the views anymore. And I know you know that. And other people that have told me they used to get 50,000 views to every broadcast they did. They weren't getting them anymore. They aren't getting them anymore. And, all of a sudden, one thing
you have to keep in mind is how powerful all sides are here. And they all are powerful. They have big capabilities. I mean, look at what happened to Alex Jones, Steve Bannon. Mayor Giuliani, and Mike Flynn. No, think about this.
Okay.
When the voice voiced against the side that was in political power as well as out of political power controlling the system, Whether you want to call them the Illuminati, the Majestic 12, it doesn't matter to me. You call them whatever you want. The Masons, it doesn't matter. And then you have a game side filled with money that can have the same type of scenarios that could possibly even happen. Because now, if you have a voice and you're voicing a question, now we're starting to see little fragments of the snowflakes starting to fall because people are having this scenario of you're saying too much, you lost your way, and they're guiding with proper terminologies of words. But in fact, they are also making the same type of criticizing in the same mannerisms towards people. When have we not always been a country of journalism, news, and proper real news, not fake news? And that's all everybody's trying to do, including some of our constituents in Washington. So, and they're fighting only for their sectors of the country that they have representation to, and some of them are standing up and they're being called out. So it's happening on our own team.
It's happening on our team, but didn't Alex Jones have the empire and did it all and had the store that made $100 million a year and was a great guy and passed the information that we needed to know? And then one day he's not as grand, but he's on X and he's still doing it every day because Elon Musk decided to help him out. I wish, I could say that Elon Musk would help me, but he's
he did. He helped all of us with coming in with waste, fraud, and abuse, and also backing a financial front for the Trump campaign, plus other people. So, I mean, in a way, there are many things that did happen, but not on a personal level, like where you pick up the phone, Dave, and here I am. What can I do for you? How much money do you need today? I mean, there seems to be a hierarchy of, where that does happen, but not just to the common people of America.
The funny thing, before I turn it to William for a second to hit us both with his knowledge, is I don't really want Elon Musk to call me and say, how much do you need? I want him to call me and just say, you're doing what you need to do. And, when you're on X, I'll help you get 50,000 views if that's what's on X. But, I can't call Zuckerberg, and I don't expect Zuckerberg to take my call anyway and say, where's my 50,000 people? Because a lot of times I'm not anywhere near right, but sometimes I got to be. But William, go ahead.
What's happening?
What's happening with you?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. Just hanging out up here in Alaska.
Good. I'm glad you came in. I thought you had something you wanted to ask Michael, which is why.
I was just saying hi.
Oh, okay. Good morning. So, Michael, William. He's up in Skagway, Alaska. I was going to say Juneau, but it's actually Skagway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, this is where we are. It's like none of us are bad people for doing what we do, but
hey, we're all going to trample on toes. We're all going to agree to disagree and disagree to agree. But, how do we continue into a better future, protecting the children, educational systems, correcting infrastructure in a better way, lowering the tax burden off of people, senior citizens and disabled, and many ones that need it, people that need it. We need corrections all across the board in a lot of ways. And I think we are going to see some of them come from what we have and what we voted for, but I don't know if we're going to get everything we want. And I think there's a lot of dragging the feet in certain ways. That's what I notice. And if it comes down to like people getting greatness, if you don't use your voice, you'll never achieve the greatness. I mean, I watched Megyn Kelly flip her whole board around, and others just like boom, because they're talking about certain things or they're bringing up certain components of what's going on in the political arena of the war. It's really hard and it's difficult. But I think if we go back to the definitions, even the words I'm using now require a brilliant mind of definition, and we have that. Every one of us have it in us because every word has a definition to it,
Right.
and we utilize that structure of how we know language is used and how to talk, whether it's in 7 different languages or just one language, but we do it. So we need to get these points across, but only when we can actually talk about something of a feeling, a personal way of seeing something versus a truth. So if we can put them together, utilize them, and we're going to get we're going to trample on toes even doing that, as gentle as we may walk on the broken glass. But, where do we start? And where do we stop? Do we stop or do we start or do we continue? And I think that's the question. Do we continue or do we just shut our mouths and let the future take it upon us? Do we want to live in these criterias of the possibilities of everything in America goes back to a blue idea or of a red idea? And that doesn't matter which side you're on. There's always going to be a repercussion for something that you're trying to do. Somebody's always going to complain. And that's why we're in such this garbage disposal of cognitive dissonance and not knowing what you're seeing and what's real, what's fake. It's just mind blowing what people are having to deal with now.
Yep.
And for me, I just want to stay on a level of where I speak for myself and only back it up if I know I have a receipt for it and it's asked for me to prove it, or I can point the finger of where I got it. And again, we're starting to lose the grip on where those realities are.
We are.
So we're going to go into tougher times the next 3 years. This is only the beginning of a new war, of a war that was started, and it really is the World War III, and it's right here in our own government against the people.
It is. William, what do you have to say?
That kind of reminds me of a story out of the Bible, actually. This pastor had a little congregation, and when he would give his speeches, he'd be speaking in tongues, and people came to reprimand him about that, because it doesn't really matter if you can speak in tongues and you know what you're saying, and then through that other people can kind of understand what you're saying. But when you step outside that arena, outside that church, to try and talk to somebody else about it, they ain't going to know what the hell you're talking about. You're going to sound crazy. I think we've seen a lot of that happening, some Tower of Babel style stuff in the media, in our entertainment, in video games, in movies, in literature across the board, where everybody's trying to shout their message and support their cause, but they're doing it in such a fashion that the other people who aren't behind that cause can't really pick up on it. I mean, it doesn't really help that you have mainstream media screaming in their ear that, they need to think this way. And, they have the politicians screaming in the other ear, you need to think this way because we're going to do all this stuff. And they never actually do any of it. I don't know. It's a strange place to find ourselves in 2025, but it's interesting to be able to watch the world from up here in Alaska, because big cities are dealing with stuff that we ain't dealing with in little municipalities with 800 people. We have a lot of liberal ideas up here and a lot of left-leaning people, but when push comes to shove and the north wind starts blowing, everybody's on the same page. We're working to try and pay our bills, keep fed, and keep warm. And when you break life down to those basics, you can pretty much overcome any kind of translation or any kind of dissonance in the translation of whatever message you're trying to preach, because you can still get a hold of them on that level and be like, hey, we're working together towards this common goal, even if it's just a job and it's irritating as hell and you hate waking up in the morning and it's difficult to get yourself motivated and whatever else. I think there's hope.
Yeah, but what you just said is a worldwide phenomenon. We had to push people to go back to work. They don't want to leave their houses. They want to work from home. So they want to actually participate 20% of the time of the workday of a work.
Do that.
No, you can't do that. But, it's part of the example of what we see in the structure of things. And that's, I think, maybe in a way where part of the waste, fraud, and abuse team is working on how they can look at this, debate it, look at all the data, and say, well, these areas are what need addressed. Like I said, the magnitude of everything is so big. I can understand it being really hard on a man, but it's bigger than a man just sitting there signing a lot of executive orders. There's got to be a lot of people in Washington all working together to attack this, and we don't even have enough of them to do that job. But in the meantime, we can try to make things better, try to institute better policies, better recommendations as to how we take the world and the future of the world for the children into a better place to where they have sovereignty and freedom, and they can live a natural life and have children, and women will not be judged and a man will not be judged, because everything comes down, as you said, there's so many different divides. You didn't use that exact word, but you said it, that everybody has this other alter narratives, and they do because the media is teaching them. And these are the ones that are getting paid the high dollar, that are related to the Hollywood people, and they truly are, whether it's black, white, or any mixture of any culture. And one day I do see, we'll never see it in our time, but I would say maybe in 100 to 150 years, I think we're going to start seeing a change of the skin tone. We really are. It's going to become more down to an isolated culture of little bit of cultures, not like, hey, I'm Italian, I got German in me, I got Irish in me, not because, it happens to be Irish Day, but I mean, I got Polish in me, I got Croatian in me, I'm Slovakian. No, what we're seeing in the world is we're having a world economic culture change. It's a revolution, that our children brought into our homes. We may have grown up on one side of the railroad tracks as a white cultured family, and another one being black on the other side of the railroad as a black cultured family. But what we have found out, what we had learned, what our own children have taught us, is that they will intermingle with who they feel they want to with. And sometimes from that, they develop a new culture of a new, you might call a mulatto, a new species of a skin tone. Mm-hmm. And I would say maybe one day in the future, and it might take 200 years, we may all be more similar than we ever were before.
So do we drop being American, being Republicans, being Democrats, being independents who are either Democrat or Republican, and just become that melting pot of Americans that they always said we were, Michael?
Well, I think I was talking more on the species of humanity and where that was going. But if we look at what you're saying, I don't know truly how to say it to you, but I think if you want to overcome your government, the people must stand up as strong as what we're seeing these idiots out there doing, because we're bigger and we can do a better job. And maybe if we all get out there, we can really bring the attention to the people where they have no choice but to back everything we want. The problem with that is people feared it from the day when I said that 8 years ago and said, if you want to run this country, you got to walk away from the government, freeze it, stop everything, make it not functionable, and then maybe they'll listen to you. But people said, no, I got a mortgage, I got a car, and I get that fear. And why do you have that fear? Because they created the laws for that fear. Why do you have that fear? Because they instilled it into you. They conditioned you for it. Fear everything. Run that red light, the cop's going to pull you over. You might run down the traffic court. The list just goes on. And we're entrapped by paperwork and paper monies and things like that. The world has lost what it once was, but it always has had it. Kingdoms. I am a landlord. No, I am the Lord of the land. That's why you can call me a landlord of this building and you have to come to me to rent it. They are the lands of the lords of the land who we pay the property taxes to. This is why people are now trying to say, we're not going to have this anymore. We made you wealthy enough, just like the Vatican. The magic basket. What's going to happen to that if they take all the digital money away? How's the Catholic, one of the richest organizations amongst us, going to survive without? Because they will survive because of what they already have. But the point is, we're starting to see that even diminish just because of actions, and they're not so popular anymore because of actions. When you get into everything that we are getting into, it's just a cluster of, what I want to say, but I'm going to refrain from that, of everything. So I would say we need that third, that maybe fourth party out there. Not a Tea Party, not liberal, not conservative, not Republican, not Democrat, but we need to be something of a natural political. No, this is our country. We live by our standards. We live by our rules. We live by our Constitution. Don't break our rules. And then maybe then, but there will always have to be, even with that, leadership within. And somewhere it will get a virus. History taught us.
I know you didn't mean what I think you meant, that you didn't want to say something. Well, maybe you did.
It was an F-bomb, and I didn't want to drop.
No,
I don't want to.
I tell people that I don't care if you say the F-bomb or if you actually say the words, because
I don't want
to use the radio.
You
said anything you wanted to say, except for whatever they might tell you, you might want to put a different way, and they had a different way.
Yeah.
For just about everything. But the bottom line is, no, if you have something on your mind that you want to say, this, as far as I'm concerned, is the place to come and say it. And you have any right to say anything you mean, as long as you mean what you say. That's
good. That's good. Because, we're told by President Trump, use common sense. Common sense was a metaphor. It had to, but don't yell at me because because you told me to.
No, I'm not yelling at.
Not you. No. The finger's not in your direction. I'm taking it to the big guy up there directly in Washington. You can't push something when you relate it to saying use common sense and then say you can't use it to talk to me.
Yeah. I fear when I finally get to meet the big guy, or both of us just happen to be in the right place at the wrong time.
He got shot that day. I couldn't.
Well, I'd like to meet him only because I'd have totally different questions than anybody else expects. I mean, I could sit down with Bill Gates and have a conversation about how much money, the contents of his wallet, what is in his wallet, or even with Warren Buffett, the contents of your wallet. What do you carry? And go from there, and not get all tied up in this, Bill, I'm still angry at you because you flew over the airport that I was supposed to pick you up at, and I didn't get to pick you up. It's not important. Something happened and you couldn't be there. But yeah. Am I upset at you because you put a needle in my arm? Yeah, I'm upset. But I'm also upset at myself that I put that needle in my arm. Go ahead, William, because you look like you have something to say.
I was going to share this quote I found from Mario, what's his name? Mario Savio. It touches a lot on what Michael was saying. It says, there's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. That's the kind of unity that we're going to need to be able to do anything into the future. The people that we're going to have to place in charge of things, because we have to have a leadership structure, they're going to require a level of trust that I wouldn't place in anybody that I see on the field so far, not even Trump. Because they're going to have to be so savvy and so able to stay ahead of all these sharks and all these people who have been manipulating the system for so long and are just convinced through time and history that this is how it's supposed to function. That it's going to take some major work.
I mean, I wake up every morning and I worry about whether today will be the day, if I'm doing a broadcast, that they'll knock on my door and say no more broadcasts.
Right.
They'll take my laptop away from me, and this is like the laptop from God.
They'll haul you off to the Ministry of Love.
No, they won't haul me off. They'll just take my laptop away. They'll take the wireless modem away. They'll make sure I don't have anything hidden here that I could use instead. But then I think about what Michael might say in one way, that I think they're busier with everybody else that's bigger than me that they don't worry about me unless I really say something that might be bad. And if they do, they take me off for some period of time on Facebook. And I even play that game. I dare them to take me off to show me that, and they don't. They just leave me alone because I'm lucky if we get 100 views, except when Michael's on. We got, I want to see how high it goes. Anybody who may be watching, because I don't see anybody in the YouTube or my profile chat room, but Michael and I did a show last Monday that there were weather problems. Restream had issues on their end, and all that they could salvage was 1 minute and 42 seconds, 58 seconds of which was the intro to the broad. That's what amazes me more than anything else.
That's awesome.
But it's gotten close to 600 views in the time that it's been on.
Wow.
And I'm looking at it going, maybe Facebook was happy.
Right,
I wish we got 60,000 views, but maybe Facebook was happy.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 minutes is the way to go.
We don't have answers for stuff like this. It could have been in the title that you wrote. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it could be that it was put into a short, and so it was set to a different audience.
Yeah, it could have been.
And
that's very true.
There's truth to that, because political truth, people want to watch it 2 to 3, 4 minutes tops, maybe 5 maximum, and you can get a lot there. I did a short clip on something in my neighborhood, and within 24 hours, and I didn't even advertise it.
That one broadcast, if we're talking about the same one, that you had the elder gentleman's home, and you talked about
right. And
I got to tell you, that was one of the best broadcasts I have ever seen in our league, and it left me wishing you could get the old man on camera with you to tell his story, because it's got to be fascinating.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll give you that story. I did it in a way not to manipulate people,
Right.
but to disclose something that I'm actually going through right now. I'm going on 3 months with no water in my home.
Wow.
3 months.
That's
How
ridiculous.
do you take care of it?
I'm getting ready to do an up version of that, but it got thousands of views. I know, it was crazy. But you're right on short reels. People don't have the patience to sit back and listen to a conversation.
No, they don't.
And this is part 2 of a second hour for Dave today. So how many people are really going to see us today? They're going to come in. They're going to see the first few seconds, first few minutes. It gets collected as a view. They move on.
But what I've also learned is we could have a 24-hour program here, and they will sit with their fast forward button on whatever device they're using and find the few minutes or even an hour that they want to listen to.
Yeah. But I think shorts are good. And so if you can extract some really highlighted positive moments from a show where voices are coming across strong with clarity, utilize those into reels, and you'll see your subject matter boost. And it'll go.
Just make a highlight reel.
I have to play.
Candace Owens does. That's how they grabbed her and now made her #1 in ratings, because she's talking about something from her heart.
I have to play with the film or whatever of a broadcast and learn how to do that.
Go to YouTube and take clips out of it. There's a clip, like a pair of scissors. You can take it from a starting component to an ending component.
Okay.
And then you take that, put it download it to your computer, and then upload it to Facebook as a reel.
I have to learn the skill. It sounds very easy. I'm sure it is very easy. I just have to learn.
I know it's nervous the first few. It was for me even too, because I've had some.
It'll be some rather interesting and some rather boring videos, shorts as we go. And I will be the first one to tell anybody, you will be amazed with what you can say in 5 minutes. It will appear much bigger to you that it really is, and you will be amazed with everything you get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you try to program 5 minutes, it is an amazing amount.
Yeah. Well, I want you to keep one thing in mind. You know, I had numerous shows that I did. Up to, I think there was 10. Dark Radio Network Project, What's in the Skies, the National Sighting Registry, Bigfoot is amongst us, all these different things that I did. Why? Because it creates and collects and gathers from different components of different crowds. What they didn't know that I was doing is I was actually influencing different types of policy, political, governmental measures into all of them. Because when it comes like just as a base, let's just say UFOs, okay? You talked about them today on your show for a little bit, okay? And people are always all saying disclosure is coming. No, disclosure happened. It happened in the military. It happened through whistleblowers. It happened through Eisenhower. Laura Eisenhower talks about her great-great-grandfather right now, through Brad Olson, Billy Carlson, Johnny Enoch. And I know these people. I mean, literally, you know, Johnny gave me a heart the other day at something. I like it was gave him a thumbs up because, you know, he got a really brilliant mind, and you got to be real careful when you talk to him because he can twist you into like a you know, one of these things like, oh shit, why did I start this conversation? Yeah. You know, makes you almost.
I bet they're fun. I bet they are a lot of fun.
Yeah, he is that brilliant. But the thing is, we already had it. But again, if you go back and just and this is where regurgitation, wash, rinse, repeat really has an important factor to it, is because people like to rewatch, understand, regather information. Politically, no. But if you go into these other measures of things, I mean, when I did The Strange, the Mysterious, and the Lost, Facebook alone hit 10 grand. 10 grand. And I had a picture of Satan sitting with me and an angel with a chainsaw. And I mean, but I'm saying that as a joke because someone called out Jerry and said, there's something wrong with that guy. There's Satan in him. There's it was all bullshit, you know, but people come up with these analogies by just judging people. But again, it didn't let me stop there because it went from there and it went all over the place and it went 10 times that in like 7 days. Now imagine when you have captivated that many views, you know, I thought to myself then, it's subject matter. And where is the subject matter and who are the people looking for it? And how can I improvise the political aspect of this in without them knowing I'm doing it?
The key thing that we have not learned that you have learned is how do you get it to everybody and how do you get everybody to come on and be a part of it? That's one of the biggest problems that I have, because I know I pressure you to death hoping you'll come on for 30 minutes. I know I pressure William to come on and he only has an hour, maybe once every 2 weeks, once every 2 months that I can get him on. Even Randy only has so much time. Philip only has so much time. And then I hear from people, why aren't they on my broadcast? And I say to myself, because you don't ask or you don't show up. And when I ask you, I get yelled at. So, you know, we won't pick apart who on other broadcasts we don't get. I just tell them, you're not on because you don't ask to be on.
I can understand.
I
can understand how you look at that, but you know, don't let that kind of stuff get you down. We all go crawling through the mud on our own enough, judging ourselves and trying to improve upon ourselves. And I think, you know, at some point it just has to be, let it flow. Whatever comes natural, whatever you find that you can share with people to create strong components, key components, utilize them to your best interest for them, not for yourself, but for them, because you know there's something in there that you already saw that needs to be shared somehow for them to say, and when you give them that wow factor, that factor, that's when you know you're connecting. I would have never got these many views if I hadn't worked the way I did. And I can walk away, which I did for almost 5 months now, because I just got to the point where I had to sit back to look at all this. And it didn't have anything to do with the other disclosures of the world, but the political disclosures and everything amongst us within that. I had to sit back and start collecting the data on what really is going on, what was improved upon, what wasn't, what were all the executive orders, how did it help us, how did it help the prices, how did it help mankind, how did it help the tariffs, did it worsen the tariffs against us? And I mean, once upon a time on the 4th of July, we were told, hey, you got hot dogs, they're cheap. I mean, talk about feeding mud to the pig. I mean, that's what they were doing, giving the pig the hot dog, us, the animals, as they so call us, because they're the ones above us. But now we hear a different adjective of where how things are going to be great for us, and that's 25% less this Thanksgiving. I mean, geez, who cares? But I mean, it has to be all the time in order for it to have an impact. Don't look at one part of the physical problem. It's the fiscal issue here is that we resolve all of it the best we can. Get more food to the people that need it. Support the people that need housing, support the people that need health care. I mean, that is what humanity should be shared and loved about who we are, and create that kind of enormous love for everybody to where it helps. And again, we're going to get walked on because not everybody will agree with it, because we can't always agree with what we see first.
I get walked on lately by this illegal immigrant shouldn't be on whatever program that they're on, to the point where with SNAP, I just said, everybody who's on it right now gets a November check because Thanksgiving is coming up. Everybody who's on it gets a December check because Christmas or the December holidays are coming up. But come January 1st of 2026, if I was the president, a ton of people that don't deserve are going to be gone. And people don't want to hear the going to be gone.
Well, I want you to keep something in mind. And we saw many examples of this. The rhinos of the right and what Trump had to fight against. Well, he came back in knowing that he had Democratic rhinos on his side there too. So there was a game plan. There's always been a plan, the same as when we go to the East and we talk about, his son-in-law and what's really going on there, why peace is so important. It's because it's for lavish resorts and golf courses and to revitalize that whole scenario of an area. And that's exactly what this was all about down there. So knowing when you know what is really happening with something and how you can control the narrative of it is when you stand above all of it. And I think in a way he does, but he's still on wishy-washy grounds, and he has to, he, as much as he wants to dictate, and he loves in a way to dictate, he's not as a dictator, but just as his own self-being of who he is. You can accept him for that, or you can hate him for it, and we got a 50-50 slide there. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, Dave, just do what you can. I'm getting the hell out of here. Good seeing you, brother William. Thank you for the enlightenment there, because what you read to me was something I wish I could memorize, because it's in everything we talk about anyway. But somebody sat down and put it into words that characterized the whole event of everything. And I agree with it. I agree so much with all you guys. The future, where is it going to be? Really? Are we ever going to see an ending to this in our life? Probably not. But what we can hope for is maybe some of the remaining years, another decade, that somehow some changes do create a better easement of impact on people who truly deserve the help, that worked for the country, that fought for the country, for the men in suits who profit from it, and something comes back in return. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. No one knows. Dave, keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys later. Again,
thank you, Michael.
Keep warm up there.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. I look forward to meeting Michael in person one of these days when he's on his way to his home in Central Florida. I'll say that.
I love Central Florida.
I'm going through this point where, like, I know where everybody is and they know where I am, but I'm going through this point. Like, I don't like saying Jacksonville because I'm in Jacksonville and people could could find me.
Well, it's getting to a day and age when they're going to
I
start.
I don't like to say Skagway because I have friends in Skagway, Alaska, so I want to say Juneau all the time.
Right.
Thinking that I'm throwing them off, and it's just like I don't want that. I mean, I remember days when I would walk into the radio station and they would hand me a stack of paper like this and say, "Well, you got to see it this way,
Right.
like this," and say, "That's your show, and that's what you need to do, and that's what you need to say," and blah 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 blah. And I would look back at them and go, "No, you pay me to be me, so I'll look at this and I'm gonna be me." The only time I regret being me was the one time in college where my executive producer said to me, "You have to read this as it is. There is no above it, below it, during it, while you're reading it. You just have to do what the college board of trustees asked you to read." When I was done, I thought they turned my mic off, and I said, and I said to the engineer, "This is the most effing amount," and I actually said the word BS, and I actually said that word, that they have actually asked me to read in any period of time I have been on this radio station.
And you got cut on the hot mic.
Well, that went off over there. So I got called to the chancellor's office, who I knew very well.
Right.
With the board of trustees, who I knew very well, because I just happened to be executive VP of the student government.
Nice.
And it was like being the prime minister of a small country.
Right.
You had the power, and the president was really just a figurehead. And they asked me, "What should we do with you because of the fact that you said something and it went out over the air?" And I first said, "Are you asking me as the executive vice president of the student government, or are you asking me as the guy on the radio who did it?"
Right.
Because I wanted to hear what they would say. And some said, "Well, we're asking you as the guy on the radio who did it." Well, I would have fired the engineer, but I don't pay him. So,
Facts.
Really,
technically, it was his slip up. If the show was over, it was supposed to be cut.
Yeah. So I said, well, that's what I had said jokingly. And then to the others, I said, well, as the exec VP of the college student government, and the college student government funds the radio station, I probably wouldn't have done a damn thing. And said, I hope the guy learned from it. I hope everybody learned from it, because that's all that happened. I learned to make sure that if I had an engineer, the buttons and the mics were turned off, so that crap didn't happen again.
Yes, sir.
While everybody else was learning to have engineers. So, but anyway, I'm glad you came, William. I hope you had a great time. Anything else you want to say?
I'm starting writing again.
Oh, good.
So I'll have progress on my book here soon. So I'll be able to share some of that goodness.
Good.
Yeah. Should be
Feel
fun.
free to come and release all of that information one day.
Yes, I shall.
If you have a day off.
Right. It's just choreographing the mornings, man. They're so hit and miss sometimes. Like this morning, I really wasn't going to do it. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to sit down and jump on with Dave.
That one last time when you said it's 6 a.m. There where you are, when it's 10 a.m. where I am, my brain was going, shit, if I had to be at some place and 10 a.m. for me was 6 a.m. Well, was 6 a.m. really for me and 10 a.m. for somebody else? I think I'd go, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. But so long as I got coffee.
I'm having a really good time watching people like Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino went from being the guy we all watched, or a lot of us watch, to being the guy in the shirt and tie and suit that became the assistant director of the FBI and still says exactly what he wants to say, exactly how he wants to say it.
Yeah. I think that speaks a lot to Bongino's character because he gave you in his podcast himself. because now that he's in this other position, he's not acting any differently. He's just asking different questions and doing a different job.
And I hope someday, I don't want, no, I'm not doing this for money. I don't want anybody's money. I just wish I had the network of views that everybody else does. But even then,
we all try and stay humble, but we all want the money.
I don't. Well, I don't want the money because they take me off of where I get my money from, and then I'd be in trouble.
Right. It's like I look at medication and food stamps. You can only be so reliant on a system because that system is eventually going to fail you.
Eventually, they will take Medicaid away from me. Eventually, they will take Social Security disability away from me. Eventually, they will take Social Security away from me. But then I look back and none of them hear it and go, well, if you take all that away from me, then I have to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference between the job that I had before this and if I had to go back and do it again is I can't drive.
Right.
I can still answer a phone and tell a car where to go, or I can tell a car where to go, or I can tell William where to go.
Yeah, do a dispatch.
Yeah. I did say to my old security boss that if I went back to doing that job, I'd have to have a driver, but then I would look better than the actual people that own the company because
Right.
I'd have to be driver.
You get a personal driver to drive you around.
Right. I'd have a driver to drive me around, and I would dress like I did before in a shirt and tie with my badge pinned on my waist and look like a undercover detective,
right?
Rather than a security guy. But anyway, what else do you got to say before we go?
Oh, nada. Have a good, awesome weekend.
Okay, you too.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to be laying low, doing a little bit of work, straightening up, starting work on my book. So, yeah.
All right.
Going to have updates soon.
All right, great. We look forward to seeing it.
Yeah. So we'll catch you later, Dave.
You will catch me later, and I will do. Wait a minute. I got to remember how to do this. William did it for me. Anyway, that was William Lockett, as you saw. A lot of fun to have on. We can have him on. A lot of fun to have Michael Anthony on when I just let go and follow Michael Anthony. You have a lot of fun and you learn a lot of good stuff. You do. And maybe the secret is sending it to wherever and just hoping that they let it go. I might mainly send us on the Facebook side to political groups that I think I'll be able to get away with sending it to. But if you are a political group and I send it to you and you don't want it sent there, then please let me know. If you are a political group that I send it to and you like it there, then please let me know. If you want to come on, please let me know. I have done shows where I hated the other person who was on, or the other person hated me. And I've always said, just leave the hatred in the green room and we can come on and drink coffee and have a good time. And I hope that's what we would do. It's been 2 hours and 19 minutes. And we did a lot in the first hour with Philip and Randy. And we did a lot with Michael and William in the second hour. So make sure you, like I said, watch with your fast forward button. And if you don't see what you want in front of you, then move forward a bit and see if you see it there. My mother watches TV that way. I have no understanding of how she can do it, but she does. If she doesn't see what she's looking for, she'll fast forward a little bit and maybe she'll find it there and maybe she'll move forward. And, I wish I could watch TV that way. I would lose something and not be able to figure out where I lost it from. But anyway, I enjoy doing what I'm doing very much. I hope you enjoy watching it, even if you catch the podcast wherever it will be. Today, the podcast will be on Streetlock. It will be on MeWe. It will be on Gab. I keep promising Truth Social, but there's something wrong. I think I have to change my password and see if that fixes it. And a few other places I will do it too. I right now I'm going through a phase where I'm trying to avoid all of the big places because all of the big places evidently want money for you to be there, and I don't have the money to be there. No, I just don't. I wish I did. So, I mean, if I got all kinds of money coming in, that's what I would do. I don't ask you to buy anything anymore because the only thing I wanted you to buy was the Boogie with the bull mug, which I use as a pen holder. But, I have one in a box that I can send. And, rather just have fun. Rather have fun, not worry about the cost, because when the cost got too high, we figured out a way to continue to do it in the way that we wanted to do it without having to ask for advertising. But that doesn't mean we don't allow sponsorship announcements. A sponsorship announcement is simply the name of your business, provided this part of a Boogie with the Bull broadcast. And if you think that might work for you, the only thing we ask is a sample of your product. If you have a hat, I'll put it on my head, because I asked my barber, it wasn't her fault, I asked my barber to cut part of the things a little short than it was, and that's where we are. But I'm 63 years old, and maybe I need that. Anyway, I'll look good for holiday dinners, which is always important to me. So be good to yourself, be good to each other. Have a fantastic weekend, because you had a fabulous Friday. We told you during Friday's broadcast. Go off and have a great Thanksgiving and be thankful for everybody. And hope that they are thankful for you. And we'll carry that through December, and pick an appropriate December holiday and have a wonderful meeting of the minds with your family and your friends, and just have a good time. And come January of 2026, some people are not going to be getting what they get because they're not entitled to it, and some people get what they're entitled to get and might even finally get a little bit more. But don't, unless you have to, have it become a means of living on. A lot of things just weren't changed. A lot of things might change. Maybe we'll all get $2,000 checks every month from the tariff fund, and maybe even more than $2,000 a month, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. You might not have to work. That might be a good idea. But with $2,000, I could do a lot. I could find my car keys finally and drive myself out of here, because I can plug in a laptop a keyboard, and I can plug in a steering wheel and plug in a set of pedals and go for a drive. But that's just something that I missed, that I haven't been able to do for a long time. Still looking to do that Lewy body dementia broadcast, or any kind of dementia broadcasts, and have a few people on whose lives have changed in that way, or maybe even a caregiver if someone doesn't want to come on, but it's okay with them coming on, and talk about that, and have doctors, maybe have a doctor or two that can speak about it, and go from there. The same thing with Parkinson's, because I know Parkinson's is a issue that a lot of people do face. I don't know if there's a natural cure for it, because I never looked at it. But when I am banging into walls, or don't feel good when I get out of a chair, if I turn around too fast or whatever, that's crap that I have to deal with. And if I'm dealing with it, I'm sure you are probably dealing with it too. And that's good stuff that you might want to hear about. And we'll go from there. So watch a Boogie with the Bull broadcast when you can. They are Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30 a.m. or 10 o'clock. You're just going to have to look on my profile and see what I decided for that day, either 8:30 or 10 o'clock. If I'm up and I have 2 hours to try to put one together, it will be 8:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I need a little bit more time, it will be 10 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 10 a.m. Eastern. All times I give you are Eastern. We will do an occasional Saturday Boogie with the Bull because I have the ability to do it, and we will do an occasional 7 p.m. Tuesday or Thursday. We might just move it all to Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. I don't want to do that until I see that there is a panel of people that want to be there every Tuesday or Thursday. Before I do that, that just means that there are people that want to be a part of the broadcast and do it. I don't want just me on for a half hour at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Maybe that's the answer to everything, but I just don't think that is the answer. I think people want more people than just me. So on that note, I'm going to grab the ceremonial cup of coffee and finish the cup and tell you to go have a fantastic weekend and always boogie with the bull. Always boogie with the bull. My mouth is just not working quite right today. It's almost right. But anyway, always boogie with the bull. If you got an idea for a Boogie with the Bull, all you got to do is talk to me, and we will do our best to work through it with you, and I promise we will do it, even if it's not at a time that we are normally on. If you are live with a live event, and we can help you by letting the internet world know about it, we will do our best to help you, even if it is at a different time than when we are on. It's just that important to me. I know I put a lot of emphasis into what we do here at Boogie with the Bull, and I always say we because there are people that help me do it. And I just have a lot of fun doing it. Anyway, go off and make it a great day and have some fun. Even if you're going to play on Facebook or play on YouTube, just go and do it and make a fantastic day out of it.